Inspired Feminine. I hope all is well. And I am just chiming in for a moment. I just finished a relationship reading on a Sunday, and it is nice and beautiful and warm today. But I was asked to do a relationship reading that I completed, and this is going to be a short um, discussion. My title is Relationship Readings Are Draining. um, Relationships are tricky. I love relationships in particular, but all relationships can cause some sort of draining force because you're dealing with people's mind and heart being at conflict. Relationships can cause a person to have a double mind, a split feelings. There's a lot involved. If you're talking about should a relationship go forward, some outside forces being a part of that relationship that can cause problems in the relationship, all of that can cause so many problems. And the person that's doing the reading for the inquirer, in Korea, or that's I guess how you say it. I don't know, but as you can tell, I'm tired. And I'm going to do some clearing in a moment after this, but I had to get this off of my mind. Spiritual readings are not about the person offering the reading, they're about messages and clear messages going to the person that's in question in the reading and needing clarity. When you offer a reading to someone about a relationship and they have their heart involved, it is very hard at times to get them to understand that a reading or a message for that person is not just about what's happening now, it's about past, present, and future. The past can be issues that a person may have been dealing with or had in their lives prior to the relationship. It can be past life issues. It can be things in the generational, I don't want to say curses, but it can be karmic. It can be so many things. The present can be what's in front of you right now, what concerns, thoughts, issues, inner turmoil, external conditions that can be affecting relationship. If that person has had any relations with that person, meaning intimately, of course, through some sort of physical interaction as well, I have to be very careful on here. That can complicate things. If a person's heart is involved in the relationship at this point, that can cause issues as well. So, the future, the future of that relationship is based on a lot of different things and what's going on now, as well as other conditions. And so, relationships can be very, very tricky. And you have to pay attention to not just the conditions that you're going through right now, but what could happen in the future. And we all have free will in relationships. So you either way, you can still make your own decision, even if you're given some advice, whether it be just wisdom, or it can come through the divination that you're given. So relationships are very tricky and they're draining. The readings can be draining at times because you're trying to get a person to see beyond their own understanding and feelings. As a spiritual advisor, I've had plenty of readings and I've done all kinds of readings for people to, just to help them and guide them and give them clarity. But the reason again that relationship readings can be very draining because there's so many parts moving and so many people involved, possibly in that relationship, whether it's children, whether it's ex, whether it's baby mamas, as some people say, whether it is finances, whether it's fear of being hurt, of making the right decisions, of being with the right person, of connecting and being compatible. And when you get certain messages in a spiritual reading, that reading is to guide you to make the right decision for you. It's not to read the mind of the other person. It's not to try to dig into their energy because that is sort of invasive. But those messages can come through spirit if you have a clear where you can hear and get those clear messages in the reading. So when people get into relationships, please have conversations with people before you just dive into relationships of their past. And it's not to be totally invasive, but if you're going to get into a relationship with someone, you need to know, do you have good relationships with your family? Do you have a good relationship with your children's mother, your child's mother? Do you have a understanding that you're moving on to another part of your life, that you're no longer interested or going to be in around as much or whatever it is because you're moving forward into a new relationship? Please be clear with people because it can definitely you can avoid a lot of misunderstanding as time moves on. I really want people to understand this because we bring things into our lives sometimes unknowingly and sometimes because we don't have the experience of talking to people and asking specific questions when we're dating or when we are going through a shift in relationships. Those conversations have been asked, said, those questions haven't been asked, and then some things can come up. Now, some things you can't avoid, and that's understandable as well. But if you can avoid some of those things, especially before becoming intimate with a person, I would advise to do so. Yes. Relationships should have some boundaries, and you have to have boundaries in your dating period. Um, Love is sometimes very conditional and sometimes unconditional, depending on the situation and the person. Some people have very unconditional love for their children, and that's wonderful. Some people have unconditional love in their romantic relationships, and some people have very conditional things that they never discuss until it comes to a head. So I would advise people who are dating or getting to know someone in the dating world, please ask questions of your pros and cons. Ask if that person has a child or has things like that, to please find out more about that particular situation so that you can be clear on where you stand and you won't have to go through or be dragged through a bunch of back and forth with someone about their current situation. The cards and the divination, all the things that people pull to try to give clarity for people. We can give you the clarity, we can give you the understanding, we can give you the understanding, we can give you the message. But at the end of the day, the message can be taken, can be explained, clarity can come forth in the reading, but you still are a sovereign being and you still are a person who makes a decision whether you want to do whatever in that situation. You can make the decision. The Most High, in turn, gives us free will and free choice. And so you may have a lesson to learn in a situation. You may be able to bypass that lesson if you don't want to carry the energy of that or the karmic lesson or whatever. You can make a choice. I was not told these things when I was going through my relationship woes. I carried things on my shoulders that were not mine to carry. And me being a very loving and loyal person, once I'm in a relationship, I was too too committed and really put my feelings aside at times to help someone out, to help them go through whatever they were going through. And some people, deserve it and some people don't. Whether this is friendships, romantic relationships, however, you have to take the time to step back and reassess what's good for you and everyone involved, but definitely you first. So I just wanted to put that out there to anyone who's a reader and anyone who's gone in a relationship. Relationship readings can be very draining because some people just don't see it. They will have to go through it and they don't see it. And it's important that you take the time to step back and love yourself and have some boundaries, have some understanding on what you will and will not allow in your life, or give it time to see how things will work out, because we do know that relationships are can be work. It's not just, oh, everybody has to have every little thing together, but what are you willing to go through? What are you willing to handle? What are you willing to allow in your life? Yes. So I'm a little tired from, the relationship readings. I at one point in time said I was not going to do them anymore. I didn't want to do them. I don't want to do relationship readings because they are so focused on the person. And relationships is not just about the person, it's really about your higher self. What is your higher self telling you? Your higher self is like wanting you to get bypass these mundane situations that's not really at your highest good, but your highest self sometimes can be ignored because you are enthralled in that situation. And your higher self, your spirit team, your spirit guides, the Most High is like, no, like, back off a little bit, smell the roses of your own life. So yes, I just I really at one point was like, I wasn't going to do any relationships. I don't want to do them. I don't want to talk about them. I just want to talk about your higher self and what you need to do and what what message spirit has for you. Damn what the other person got going on. For real. So, yes, beloveds. I'm going to leave it at that because people are confusing and people can be very fickle and they can just have a lot of, you know, things that they haven't worked through themselves. And you're trying to have a relationship with them. Are you willing to do that? Some people are worth it, some are not. But y'all have to have a clear understanding on that, and it can take time. Are you willing to use that energy? Are you willing to give that energy? Are you willing to give that time for another person? As you're moving through life and you want to form a loving, giving relationship, are you willing to do that for yourself? So that's a question to ask. Is that person worth it? We do have to have, excuse me, relationships in the world so that we can come together and have families and have communities and neighborhoods and all of those things. So that's a part of life. Most people, when they come and get a spiritual consultation, they're coming for love, health, family, money, and career. Those are like the five. Those are the main ones. And then I would just add the sixth one, which should be number one, is your spiritual self. That should be your main thing, your spiritual life, your spiritual higher self. That's number one. But most people are going to come for the other five when they come for a reading. So I really am working through ways with people to, when I offer spiritual consultations, I want them to come forth and I want them to understand that it's really not about all this other stuff going on. I don't care if it's career, health, all of it always starts spiritually first. That's the most important part. So, all right, beloveds, I am going to leave it at that. And that is it for me. Peace and blessings. Ashe.